everybody, and welcome to the broadcast with Amanda, Shandy, and Colleen. My name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Season 6, Episode 44! It's our penultimate episode of our sixth season.
Nice.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's episode number 269.
Yeah, there you go.
How's it going?
Good.
It's fine. It's storming here.
Oh.
Yeah. We have our first summer thunderstorm.
Ooh.
Nice.
Kind of nice. Forgot to close the windows and the cat's blanket got soaked. So I'm going to have to wash that tonight.
Ooh. How you doing, Shandy? How you feeling based on the title of last week's episode, aka the one we recorded yesterday? You are so far the last woman standing.
Right.
Knock on wood.
I still don't feel like I'm in the clear. The PCR test I did on Tuesday morning was negative, but like that still leaves time for me to have caught something in the plane. So
and she didn't blow her nose, guys. She didn't listen.
I didn't blow my nose for any of those tests. I will blow my nose and retest tomorrow, just to be sure.
I know last week, aka yesterday, I was all over the place with how could I have caught this? What happened? Was I sick for 2 weeks? Was I not? No, my very, very faint test yesterday turned bright freaking pink this morning before the control line. The control line took a good 15 minutes to control itself. But the test line was like...
Oh, you got this. You got this, girl. You got it. You sick.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And then as the day progressed and I started to kind of feel a little bit worse, but not too terrible, not too bad. I'm very lucky. I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm at the start of this. That sucks.
Yeah. I think that's actually what happened for me too, that it was like faint and then it was like, then there were like a couple of days where it was like, oh yeah, you sick. So then we just like stopped testing for several days and then.
Yeah. I mean, even the nurse at urgent care was like, you don't have to test anymore. Follow the guidelines 5 days after your symptoms. And I was like, well, technically that's tomorrow. So cool. Right. Clearly I won't be going.
Science, huh?
Yeah. I was like, clearly, obviously I'm not leaving my house. I went outside and took a nap. I put sunscreen on my face for the first time in several decades. And took a 30-minute nap outside in the sunshine while listening to the Daily, and which will probably haunt my nightmares.
Yeah, not really a good snoozing.
No,
It's background noise.
No, not so much. But anyway, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. At least now I have clarity. I was like, no, yeah, you were. It wasn't false negatives before. You literally were negative.
You have a definitive.
Literally were.
And Jay was like, well, now's your chance to be positive for once. And I was like, but dad joke, terrible. Anyway, one more announcement and then we'll just get into it and go through. Our birthday show will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, Tuesday, June 21st, over Zoom at about 9:15 p.m. So, hooray! All right, so we are here tonight to talk about 10 Things I Hate About You, Clueless, and Can't Hardly Wait. 3 movies which, quite honestly, were delightful to rewatch. I forgot how influential each of those movies were on my life. I forgot how many lines from all of them that I quoted, especially Can't Hardly Wait. I had totally forgotten that I used to say, nobody drink the beer has gone bad. And I didn't even remember that it's from Can't Hardly Wait. And then I was like, oh yeah!
That's where that came from.
The beer has gone bad. Which one do you guys want to start with? Do you want to just go in order of release date? So Clueless.
That was totally what I was going to suggest. Woo! I love it.
So that would be Clueless, right? Clueless was 1995?
Yeah, it was 1995.
Their outfits were amazing. And just need to mention that before I forget it. Because I loved it.
Well, and it's like in the beginning, where Claire
Yes.
Cher goes into her closet with like the computer system
Yes.
that like picks out the outfit. Like
Yes.
I remember that looking so high tech.
So cool.
And
Yes.
it's like the joy of these movies is like how much they were a product of the time in which they were created.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so much.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, that's not high tech at all. It was like totally like what computers looked like in 1995.
Yep.
Which also reminds me, today on Facebook, Jamie Joe put a picture up of, remember those stencils that used to trace over, and it was like tops and bottoms and like jackets, and you put together outfits of
Like a paper doll?
not a paper
I might have to
doll.
look this up. I'm not. From
You'll
your
know
description. I'm not sure what we're talking.
I know my description is terrible. Hold on, let me. I'll get you the name of it real quick. Hold on, I'm pulling up her Facebook right now. But I had forgotten all about them. Okay, the fashion plates. So it had like the different like plates, like hats and tops and hair and I don't know if you can see this, but you like used to put together an outfit and you would like trace over it on paper like.
I don't think I had that.
Oh, I did.
I used to do my own like ghetto version of that, where I used to just like cut people out of catalogs.
I used to do that too. Remember slam
I used to
books?
just like play with them. I don't know. Overactive imagination.
No, I used to. Can you like color over them like with the crayon? So, like in broad strokes. So and they made the outline of it. I don't know. I loved that. So that is what reminded me of the poor people version of Cher's computer.
The analog version.
The analog version. There you go. The poor people version isn't a very good way to describe it.
Well, having a computer in 1995 was, wasn't nothing. Those
And
suckers
one that
were
was
like,
like in your room, like it was your
Yeah.
personal
yeah,
computer.
yeah. I remember when we got our first computer, and I think it was like $1,000, which to me at the time seemed like an extraordinary amount of money, and probably was.
Yeah.
And it was just like the entire family used it, like all 6 children. And God knows what we even did on it because there wasn't internet.
Number crunchers. You played computer games.
Right.
Oregon Trail. Just all the time.
Oh man. Chips Challenge. That was my jam. Love Chips
we didn't
Challenge.
I didn't have that one, I don't think.
You had to like. I think it was one of the ones you had to like. Remember, like when you rebooted and when you were still in like MS DOS, like you weren't in your actual Windows or whatever, and you had to like type in like / blah blah blah, and like your game would come up. I think that was one of those. I don't know. I was.
Okay. I just remember like you'd put the floppy disk in, like the original floppy disk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
there
the
were, like,
floppies
floppy
that were
disks.
floppy.
The floppy, not like the hard disks that we eventually called floppy disks. No, the original floppy disk that
Yeah.
was actually floppy.
Yeah.
I need
That, like,
to.
had the gaming.
I was thinking about that actually today while I was laying out in the sun. I was reminded of like a poem that I wrote when I was in like 7th grade. And I know that I saved them all to a floppy disk. And there's
Oh shit.
there's 100% chance that I still have it. And I don't know what even came up. Maybe it was something in the daily. Maybe it was just something sitting there that reminded me of it. And I was like, I would love to reread that and all the other things that I had to write for like class and on my own. And I know they're on floppy disks, and I'm pretty sure I know where they all are, but I don't have a floppy disk reader. I need to like
Well, shit. Yeah.
get
Right.
one.
Who does?
Right.
I know
Get
you
that on
can.
eBay, maybe?
I think you can get some on Amazon.
For like
still. They make them.
$500.
Yeah. No,
We come full circle in the
What if you
price.
brought them to your local library? It's like, can you help?
Maybe in the archives.
some of these have my English papers. Some of these have my like math final, and some of these have these poems that I used to write.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
pretty
that's what I
emo.
used to like. I like had a whole case of like discs that I took to college.
Yeah, I have a
I
whole
would
case
like
of
save
discs.
my papers on that, and then I would take it to the library to
Yeah.
print because I didn't have a printer.
Yeah,
Wow.
Before it was like normal to like email something to yourself, and then
Yeah. That
like,
was
save it
when
on the
I never forget. Allison had the flash drives, which were thumb drives. I guess at that point they were still called, and they were so expensive. And we were like, it has a whole gig on there.
That's why Allison had one. That's why Allison was the one that had one.
I just remember.
Wait, is there a difference between a thumb drive and a flash drive?
No, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
I think that's what it was originally called.
It was originally a thumb drive.
They could only hold like a thumb worth of information.
Yeah.
I thought it was because it was the like basic size of a thumb.
Maybe.
That too.
Who knows?
That was more the accurate. Like I was going for like the low hanging fruit joke.
Maybe it was a combination of both. It's kind of like how early MP3 players, you can only put 30 songs on it, but they were the bomb because you weren't carrying around a CD player.
When I got my first iPod, I sprung for the big one because I was like, 30 gigs, that seems like a lot. It took me a long time to fill that.
Anyway, back to Clueless. There's so much, though, that I think comes from this movie. Like,
yes.
Which I know a lot of it we don't probably say maybe anymore, but there's not anybody from our generation that wouldn't be like, if you say she was a Betty, she's a Monet.
Yeah.
The Barneys, right? So he's kind of a Baldwin. There was so...
As if.
I need to bring that back. I really need someone to bring as if back because I forgot how endearing it is. It's so much classier than duh.
Yeah, it is.
We've really devolved as a society when we're so lazy that we're like duh instead of as if.
Extra couple syllables there.
This movie, I will go ahead and make a bold declaration and say that of the I like all three of these movies, but I have to say that Clueless is my favorite. I think because my cousin and I used to watch it like regularly. It's probably the one I've seen the most. Speaking of like old technology, my uncle has, well, maybe he doesn't have it anymore, but at one point in time he had on like old school camcorder tape a video of my cousin and I doing the Haiti speech, which I maintain it like is good logic and totally holds up.
Do you think that the phrase, the declaration, it does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty?
It does not say RSVP.
Do you think that that's what Stephen Miller was thinking about when he wrote that terrible, he wrote that immigration thing back and it was like, excuse me, it was like August 2017. And
that rings some big bells.
Excuse me, my COVID cough. And he said something like, we need to give us your pour. Those are just suggestions. Like, it's not like we should actually do that. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, this motherfucker. This is how it's going to be. We knew it, but... All right, well, I guess somebody out there gets that joke and is laughing. You're welcome. My favorite out of all three was 10 Things, rewatching them. I think before that it might have been Can't Hardly Wait, but the pure nostalgia and like warm feeling of a hug of a movie was definitely 10 Things for me.
10 Things is really great, but there's like a very special place in my heart for Clueless. And really I can't watch it without thinking of my cousin. There's also several things that I think when I first saw it, I probably didn't understand. Simple things. Because this came out in 1995, so we were in fifth grade.
Yeah.
So even when she's late to class and she says that she was surfing the Crimson Wave, I don't think I got that the first time around. But it was
yeah.
I think I might have missed that in this watch through.
Love it. But even that just so casually telling her teacher that she was late because she's on her period. I like it. I love it.
Yeah.
The other one that I really love is when I think it's towards the beginning of when Brittany Murphy's character comes to school and R.I.P. And somebody's like, I could use an herbal refreshment. And she's like, no shit, you guys got Coke here? And Cher is just like, oh yeah, we have all sorts of things.
Yeah, it's America.
It's America, right? That kind of stuff definitely over my head, but so great.
Also, the very, I think it's probably iconic, the exchange, like, what the hell is that? A dress? Says who? Calvin Klein? I have to say, out of all the dads, I guess you don't really see any dads in the third movie, in Can't Hardly Wait, but
Right.
Cher's dad, as probably asshole Republican-y as he is, he's definitely way cooler than the dad in 10 Things, which I know we're going to talk about.
He's a little more, like, fully realized.
Yes.
Whereas, like, the 10 Things dad is very much just there for the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a full character so much as a caricature.
Yes, he's a caricature.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot that Donald Faison was in that movie. And that he was in Can't Hardly Wait.
Which one? There are so many crossovers.
There's so many
I forgot
crossovers.
how small the actors pool, like the teen actor pool was from like 95 to like 2001. It was a very small pool. They were all in all the same movie.
Yes, I had totally... And then it took me a minute to recognize that was Peter Fasinelli. I was like, who is that? What is he from? And then, I was like, oh, the dad from Twilight, duh.
Yes. Yes.
Also, Jenny Garth's husband.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Jenny Garth's husband, Peter Fasinelli, or ex-husband. They were married at some point.
Oh, I don't know, but he's wait, he's the one in
Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly Wait. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that also took me a while. And it sort of blew my mind when I realized that.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah. Who is this 27-year-old high schooler?
Oh, they all look so old.
Oh my gosh. Like 20% of the notes I took about Can't Hardly Wait was like, this person's in this movie? This person's in this movie? Literally, it's just like, what?
I know. And I was like, Jerry O'Connell, isn't he like 40?
Well, he was supposed to be,
The washed up
graduated
dude that
already.
graduated a whole year earlier, yes.
Yeah. It was like, what? Like,
Right.
Selma Blair had a little bit part in there.
Yes.
Clea Duvall had a little bit part
Sarah
in there.
Rue has the best.
Sarah Rue.
Has the best out of all of them.
I can't remember the actor's name that plays the cousin, but like he's been in other things.
Yes. Everybody in that movie.
Everybody.
Like it was kind of, to me, felt like maybe it was just a free for all. Like, they threw up like a confetti to agents, and they were like, "Do you want to get paid for a day's worth of work?"
It's like, who has connections to this person?
Yeah. Come do a scene.
Again, all in the same amount of movies. Like, I'm sure the, 6 degrees of, Teen Star is,
Oh, 100%. Like, it's either, the Brat Pack. Is that what the 80s ones? It's either the Brat Pack or the Can't Hardly Wait cast. Like, they're the ones that are connecting everyone.
I would say though, for me, the Donald Faison thing was more like when I watched Scrubs, that I was like, oh my god, it's the guy from Clueless. Because he really stood out to me in Clueless. And then when I watched Can't Hardly Wait, I was like, what? He's in this too.
No, see, right.
He does have he has a bigger character. Like, his character has a bigger part in Clueless.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, again, my favorite scene in Clueless that I had totally even forgotten about was the scene where Dion accidentally drives on the freeway and they're freaking out and the semi-truck is speeding up behind them and you're like, why isn't it slowing down? This is so ridiculous. And they're screaming and... Oh my god!
And then she pulls off, but she's just stops on the off ramp. And I'm like,
literally, the first time I drove in LA on the highway, I thought about that scene in Clueless. It's like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this.
Totally.
Dion couldn't, but you can.
They all survived. It was just a movie. You're probably going to sit in traffic eventually. You've got this. You won't have to go that fast.
Oh my god.
And that's when she went from being hymenally challenged to not.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I forgot.
The term is hymenally challenged.
Maybe those liberals do indoctrinate you, because I'm pretty sure I learned what a hymen was from watching all these movies. Nobody ever talked to me about this stuff growing up. I felt seen in 10 Things with the dad. I felt seen, is what I'm saying. Not really, actually. Because even acknowledging how babies were made was not my experience.
Yeah. And Paul Rudd, how he actually looked very young.
And
I feel
still
like Paul
the
Rudd
same.
just kind of looks like eternally youthful, but like he actually looked very young in this movie.
Yeah.
Even though,
right.
Yes, and I don't know. I watched it first, and I know they all had to be not teenagers, but at least they looked closer to teenagers.
I think Alicia Silverstone was actually like 18.
Okay.
So
I believe she was.
technically-
Hold on. Let's check the computer. Let's check the internet. But I'm pretty sure she was actually a teenager.
Okay. Well, then that
when she
would
made
make
the
sense.
movie.
She's supposed to be 15, going on 16. But
child
which is
labor laws.
very young.
Yeah.
It feels like a very young age to be hooking up with your stepbrother. But
Okay, according to goodhousekeeping.com, she was 19 when she started in that movie.
Still a
she
teenager.
Was still a teenager, albeit, out
a
of
technicality.
a technicality, just barely, but she was still a teenager.
Okay. Well, she was younger.
Everybody
when she
else was probably 35, but whatever. She was a teenager.
She was younger when she was in the Aerosmith video, which, probably
which
problematic.
Which is that, of the two, that one is probably more problematic.
Yeah.
Not probably, is more problematic.
No, definitely.
Full stop. Like, period, the end.
So the weirdest part of those videos is that Liv Tyler's in them. But
Yes.
do you want to come and be in this sexy video? All right.
Gross. Okay, gross. God,
Yeah.
the 90s were wild.
Okay.
Weren't the 90s wild? I don't know. I think they were
90s
wild
were such a
because
funny time.
we remember them like way differently than people that probably lived in them.
Yes,
They were
yes, 'cause we were
fighting
kids.
their own fight.
Yes. I do also want to put one thing straight. When you sneeze, you do not have to take out your nose ring. Just saying.
You guys would know.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've never had a ring. I've always done a stud.
The stud.
But neither the ring nor the stud needs to come out. Just saying.
Yeah.
That was definitely written by somebody who had zero experience with an actual nose ring.
Yeah.
But, it was the 90s. I mean, everybody had their nose pierced in the 90s. All the cool people, anyway.
Yeah. I wasn't cool.
Thanks. Yeah, well, me neither. I was also like 10.
Yeah. Right.
One of my cousin's girlfriends had a nose ring and a shaved head. And I just thought she was like the coolest. She was just like the epitome of 90s cool. And I was just like,
Totally.
oh my God, just notice me. I just like want to be like you.
Yeah.
So cool.
No, totally. That sounds very cool. I will say, speaking of hair, though, another thing is, as far as I understand, you can't just wash out hair dye. It's like
Unless it was like the spray-in kind. Do you remember that for like Halloween? Did you ever do that where you like bought it was like a spray?
Oh, yeah.
But that would you could tell it was a spray.
Yeah.
Because it would
yeah.
Because I know you could do like a rinse and a rinse lasted like 8 washes or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
wasn't allowed to dye my hair. But the police would come and get me.
I know at some point we're going to have to, maybe this is discussion for the end, talk about the part of, I think the movies, I want to talk about how they hold up after we talk about all three. Because there's definitely,
Yes,
I think, cases to be made. Excuse me.
Yeah, there are cases to be made. There are things where I think all the movies really excelled and were maybe a little ahead of their times, and then there were, moments where all of them kind of all of them had cringeworthy moments.
Yes, the R word was used, the F word was used.
Noted that.
Christian being called the cake boy was definitely ooh.
A few jokes at people's expenses that
yes,
not so okay.
And I don't watch. Obviously, we have dabbled, ladies, in the Gen Z comedies and movies and whatnot. But I wouldn't call us full on experts in them. But I don't think that your version who can't drive would be something that would be an insult in present day movies. I don't think virginity is made fun of as much.
Yeah, no.
I don't think so.
Unless it's by the bad guy, in Sex Lives of College Girls. But I don't think it's something that a character you're supposed to like Ty would say.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm taking advice from you. You're a virgin. You can't drive.
God, Brittany Murphy. As
in
if.
her very best Queen's accent.
I wish I could do it right now, but my throat is so dry back. There's no way. And I'm sad, but that's
she was
okay.
Just channeling Cyndi Lauper, I think.
Note, though, that both Heath Ledger and Brittany Murphy died in the 2000s because of, like, prescription drugs? Drug
Both died of overdoses.
Well, Heath Ledger died in, was it 2006, 2007, 2008? It was when we were in Astoria. He died. Yeah. But his was the prescription drug accidental overdose. Brittany Murphy had that weird pneumonia thing that then killed her husband like a month later, and never. Yes, Brittany Murphy's. Ooh. There's been like articles written about the mysterious circumstances of Brittany Murphy's death, like whether it was like toxic mold or they were being poisoned somehow. I mean, I read one. There was recently, like within the last year, I think it was People or somebody did like something that revisited Brittany Murphy's death. Like there's probably documentaries are going to be like she got sick, right? She was really sick, and then I guess didn't go to the hospital and ended up dying, and they said it was pneumonia. And then her husband, who people were accusing of like poisoning her, ends up dying of the same thing like a month later. It's a crazy story, actually.
Right, because he looked like so much older, right? He was like a manager or something.
Yeah, and there were coworkers that said that the movie she was filming, you know, the last one she worked on, like she was like unhealthy, skinny, and just not taking care of herself, and like was clearly in distress that needed help. And like her mom and her husband were sleeping in the same bed after she died, not like having an affair, but just like it's all sorts of really weird shit. I don't know what's rumor, what's not, but it's all out there.
But I do remember that like, you know, she just was like so thin, and you were just like, oh, like she must be on drugs, like there must be something wrong. And it was like a very sad moment.
I know. I loved Brittany Murphy though. Her and Heath Ledger, like I wonder what the two of them could have done, like if they had not like passed so tragically, especially Heath Ledger. I mean, that dude was gonna bring us like really great performances.
Yeah. Well, let's hold the Heath talk till we get to 10 things.
Okay.
Because I feel like that is a whole discussion.
That is a whole discussion. Okay. Any last thoughts on Clueless? The only other thing I wanted to note personally was that I love that she wears that see-through white sweater like shirt the entire time. Right. I was like, that is so 90s.
Right. It was like, cover it up. It's like, well, duh. I was going to wear something over it. It's like a see-through, like.
But she wears it throughout the movie, I took note of this time. I was like, as if.
Yeah. I was going to notice Mighty Mighty Boss Stones are in Clueless, like before they were Mighty Mighty Boss Stones. There's actually a lot of like musical moments, I feel like, in these movies.
Yes. Definitely. And I will say, apart from the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, there's actually like some really good music in Clueless.
Oh, you take that back. I like the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones.
Oh, that song I find so annoying.
Oh, I love it.
But I really like the rest of the music in Clueless.
I think the soundtracks of all of the movies were great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but like, they did some great.
I think that there's a little bit of nostalgia for each. You know, like to jump ahead a little, like Can't Hardly Wait. I think they had every Smash Mouth song that was ever on the radio. It was like, you could make a drinking game out of the amount of Smash Mouth that was in that movie. So like some of it was like, okay.
I
like,
know.
These were like the big songs of the moment.
Yeah.
But then there was like these cool kind of like more like underground music moments in these movies, which was it balanced out the Smash Mouth factor, you know?
Which I can't, you know, I can't listen to Smash Mouth anymore without thinking like, man, these dudes are Trump supporters.
Gosh, do they have any redeeming qualities?
I saw them, I saw Bare Naked Ladies and Alanis. Was that with you, Amanda? I've seen Alanis so many times. Jones Beach.
I've never seen Alanis. I think we had talked about going.
Okay.
No, because that was the summer that we both went to see Fiona.
Okay.
But we went to different shows and we compared notes about
with Damian Rice, and he was
what a mess she was.
She was a mess. Damian Rice was a mess.
He was pretty good for my show.
You had a much better experience than I did. I mean,
she couldn't finish a song.
No.
She could not finish a single song. She was really, really struggling.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
She was, I mean, that was, yes. That concert, I believe I went home and listened to a whole bunch of Anna Nalick to get it out of my head. Because I was like, oh man, maybe Never Meet Your Heroes. But I had seen Fiona before. And I had seen Damian Rice before. Well, you and I saw him at the Hammerstein Ballroom, right? Oh, the Beacon.
The Beacon, where he stood at the lip of the stage.
Oh,
I sung Cannonball, and the entire, you could hear a pin drop.
I still have that recording.
It was so respectful. This is how we should always be at concerts. Everyone should just shut the F up and listen, because you paid money to be there and to listen. Sorry, that's just me.
I still have that recording because it was so good. I made that recording with my phone.
Magical. Yeah, it was so magical.
Oh, it's a great moment. So I had seen both of them separately. I thought it was going to be great combined. And then I was like, well, maybe it was the outdoor acoustics. And then, upon retrospect, I was like, no, I think they were all real struggling real bad. And
it was, because I saw them indoor. I saw them at Mohegan Sun Arena.
Yeah, I saw them outdoors, and it was not great. Anyway, sorry.
Back to the films.
Back to the films.
So Clueless. Watching Clueless, it reminded me that it was based off of Emma, which I have never actually read, but that 10 Things is also based off of classic literature. And I was thinking to myself as I was watching these, it's like, oh, if all of us weren't such busy ladies, it would have been really cool to have read the source literature and watch the movie, so we could compare and contrast how those things are different, because it sort of got me thinking about, oh, this is a very common trope in teen, particularly of that time of teen movies, taking these classic stories and adapting them for a teen film, and it's having never read either source material. It's you're kind of left guessing, okay, what is actual source material and what is just oh, well, this is what a teenager in 1995 would do. I think 10 Things, it's a little more clear, they actually use direct Shakespearean lines, and it's so much more ingratiated into the story, where Clueless is just if you didn't know it was based off of Jane Austen,
we did get an email about Clueless from Fallon, and she says, Clueless is Emma. In 9th grade English, they did a presentation on how Clueless is a modern-day retelling of Jane Austen's Emma, and somehow Jane manages to avoid any problematic relationship between adult and a minor. But Clueless is forgiven, since Paul Rudd is technically ageless. Rolling with the homies, Fallon. Rolling with the homies.
Is ageless.
Yes. Yeah, it's so messed up. Just to be clear, my official stance is that you should not
date your 18-year-old stepbrother.
What? Yeah, but I don't know. I can overlook it in Clueless.
Yeah, because you kind of forget that she's supposed to be 15 because she's actually 19 and she doesn't look like she's 15.
Well, plus,
and they make it very clear that their parents were married for a hot minute, so it's not like they grew up. I mean, I guess that is debatable. It's not like they grew up as siblings, so maybe that's actually okay. It's more that she's 15, but again, looks 19, so
that and that's just another Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode. So it's not
I also feel the ultra wealthy, the rules
rich
seem
people
to be
have different rules.
They just seem a 15-year-old that comes from money just somehow seems older. I mean, guys, I watched Gossip Girl.
XOXO.
That was not my 15-year-old high school experience.
Yes. I remember watching the Gossip Girl pilot with you.
Their own set of rules, those rich people.
They did.
Those rich white people, they got their own set of rules.
They do. I bet none of them even had to isolate with the COVID symptoms. Let's be honest, that's not a joke.
Probably not.
All right. Excellent point, Fallon. And I can't believe that this is our first Rolling with the Homies reference. So we've got emails that talk about each one. I'm going to read the specific to that movie portion and then go back.
Great.
Jessica said, Clueless, I never got into the movie. I thought it was overrated. Plus, I was always annoyed with how Cher thought that Travis was not good enough for Ty at first, and then got all pissy when Ty liked someone else. If she would have left them alone, Ty never would have liked Josh. Also, Cher, that's your stepbrother. Even if they're not blood related, Josh seems to look at his dad like a father figure. Weird. One more thing, Paul Rudd does not age.
Well, hey, Josh can now look at him as a father-in-law figure. So there you go.
Whoa.
I mean, I understand it's obviously annoying that she's like so anti-Travis at first, but that's part of her growth arc. And I mean, the fact that she does grow is great, which also I think we should give an honorable mention to. First, oh my God, how did I not even mention the Pismo Beach disaster? We actually, during the confinement, the shelter in place, one day we like drove down the coast just to like get out of the house, and we went down to Pismo Beach, and I was like, oh my God.
We're here.
Yeah. Which, that was another thing that went way over my head. When I watched it like back in 1995, but there definitely was not a disaster at Pismo Beach. But when they're doing that whole like fundraiser thing with all the items that they're collecting, and Travis comes and he's doing that program. There's like these steps, like 12, and he donates some different supplies, and she like picks up his bong and is like, kitchen? That's where I always put it. That's another thing that, like, as a 10-year-old, you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
And later you're like, oh, I get why that's funny. Yeah. Just like a subtle bong in the movie.
Stacey Dash was actually 29. She plays Dion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's another one that's like a little ageless.
Yeah,
she is 10 years older.
Yeah.
Than
questionable like opinions on basically everything. But
yes, you
ageless.
Can watch her on Fox News, which she didn't last long on. I don't really know if there's any other trivia real quick. Alicia Silverstone actually did not know how to correctly pronounce Haitians in that classroom scene. The director told the crew not to correct her because she liked it so much and wanted it to be in the film.
Oh my God, that makes it extra good and also kind of sad.
I love that.
Okay. She was a teenager.
And then, let's see. At one point, Ty insults Cher by calling her a virgin who can't drive. And Murphy later confessed that at the time of the filming, she was actually a virgin who couldn't drive. And the most important fact about the whole movie, during the film, there are 53 different kinds of tartan plaid used, 7 of which are worn by Cher and 12 by other major characters. That is...
Wow. That's a lot of plaid.
That's a lot of plaid.
And this movie wasn't even based in Seattle.
Hey, by 95, like, plaid was having a moment.
Yeah, it sure was, man. I think my fondness for plaid goes back to this movie in those days. Anyway, let's move on. I had Matt's email. Matt, I was going to read what you had to say too, but everything kind of ties into everything. You know what? Okay. Then what Matt had to say about this, the best of the 3 films, hands down, is still Clueless, the one that kicked off the 90s film era, still holds up remarkably well. It did kind of kick it off, didn't it? Alicia Silverstone is charming and natural as Cher, giving what could have been a one-dimensional Valley girl some depth and made her someone worth rooting for, even when she is as privileged as she can be. Seeing Brittany Murphy gave me similar vibes to Heath Ledger in 10 Things for a Talent Gone Way Too Soon. And we will talk about that. And this could be used as proof for Paul Rudd's lack of aging. You could argue he's aged.
Or that he is aging because he looks younger in this movie. But
still the face is still the same.
He looks younger in this movie than everything else he's done.
I don't know, but he still looks the same despite looking younger.
That's true. He does look exactly the same.
You could argue he's aged as well as this film. Of course, it's worth noting this was directed by Amy Heckerling, who helmed another totally holds-up teen film, Fast Times at Ridgemount High. Although I did find some sexual misconduct allegations involving her and Chris Kattan in doing research that cast a bad light, to say the least. So, yeah. All right.
Everyone.
Yeah, we can't have nice things.
All right, moving on to the Actually, let's take a quick commercial break here, because when we do these long ones, I have to keep adding commercials on either side, because we don't take the double break that we need to in the middle. Plus, I have to pee. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every time I cough, I'm afraid I'm going to pee my pants, and I'm sorry. Full disclosure, that's what's going on here, is I'm squeezing real tight. I'm crossing my legs every time I cough. All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk about the other two movies, 10 Things I Can't Hardly Wait. All right, we're back, and I think the next movie we have up is, we've already talked about this a little bit, but can't hardly believe all the famous people that made a cameo in this movie.
So many.
So many.
Big cast.
So many.
I actually pulled it up at one point and was just following along as the cameos came up, because I was like, I forgot this person was in it. I forgot Breckin Meyer was in both of those movies.
He was in both, yeah.
Whatever happened
Yeah,
to
I'm
him?
trying to think. Wouldn't it be great if there was one actor that was in all three movies?
That would be great.
That would have been just pretty sweet.
Huh.
Oh well.
I mean, there's probably those 2-bit actors. I forgot Melissa Joan Hart was in the movie, and she has such a big part.
Yep.
Yeah.
The yearbook girl.
Yeah.
Yearbook girl.
Yep.
Jason Segel was in this movie.
I know. Oh my God.
I had forgotten that he had a cameo. Well, not a cameo, because I don't think he hadn't done Freaks and Geeks at that point. I don't think those were probably one of his earliest roles, right? Wait, hold on. I'm not going to speak out of turn.
I have it. Hold on. I have his name up highlighted on IMDb. I can click on it. Let's see. Jason Segel.
1999 was when Freaks and Geeks came out.
Okay.
Huh?
So that was probably about the same time as he filmed this movie.
Yes, September of 99 was when the first episode of Freaks and Geeks aired.
Yeah, and Can't Hardly Wait is listed as his first credit, actually, on IMDb. So,
because I believe that came out in June, because it was around
it was 98
graduation time.
Yeah,
98.
It was in 98.
But it was June.
Yes,
because I looked it up and was oh yeah, because in time for graduation.
Yes,
that makes sense.
We literally looked this up yesterday. I can't remember.
No, yeah, same. It's I looked it up 3 days ago, and it's oh.
Who else was in this movie? Everyone. Literally everyone. I forgot. Yeah. It's funny what didn't age well, but also I guess as a making fun of it thing, the Seth Green character. You remember that was so funny, at the time that I saw this in 1998 or whatever. But now when I look back and watch it, I'm ooh, all of the cringe. Just no.
Yeah, I think that is easily the cringiest part out of of all the movies.
Yeah.
But this is I think that what makes it even more cringier is that that was such a trope.
It's in all three movies.
There were and it's I went to high school with guys like that.
Same.
That was a cool thing for a suburban white guy to pretend he's not a suburban white guy.
Yes. Yes, just the sheer amount of inappropriate cultural appreciation.
Appropriation?
Sorry, yes, cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation before we had a term for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we had the term probably, but our 8th grade selves just probably didn't come across it.
Right, we were unaware that the term existed.
Yeah.
But that's in all three movies, because you have the dudes that the English teacher tells to shut up in 10 Things.
That's true. That's a very good point.
They do appear as a group of kids, the stoner. Is it the stoner kids, or there's a group of kids in Clueless that also I believe are of the same ilk. So it was definitely a funny 90s thing that is super problematic in retrospect.
Yeah. Oh, just other cameos. The Shermanator is in.
Yes, he's the kid that keeps the klepto.
The klepto kid, yeah.
It took me. I had to look. Yeah, from American Pie.
That's why he looked familiar.
Yes.
No.
I couldn't figure
out. I could not place him, and I didn't care enough to look him up.
See, I had it open, and I couldn't place him either. And then at the very end, when he steals the gumball machine or whatever it is, I was like, okay, I gotta look up who this dude is. And then I was like, oh, that's Storminator.
I kept thinking he kind of looked like the kid from A Christmas Story, like the bully with the
oh yeah.
like the raccoon hat, and I was like, well, but it's clearly not the same because the ages don't line up.
Oh my god, yeah. I just also just the nostalgia factor in this. Also like the line, like, you know who's gonna be in college? Girls that used to be in high school. And my favorite line, you know, William, from this light, you somewhat resemble David Duchovny.
Oh, so good.
So good. So good. My little X-File-y heart loved that then and love it now.
I guess that movie would have been kind of in the height of like X-File.
Totally. Because the X-Files movie came out in 97 or 98. So that was like, you know, right up there with the height of X-File, like when it was good. And then we had a couple of seasons where it just kind of struggled on with some good episodes and some, gosh, what else?
Ethan Embry was just the epitome of 90s cute boy.
I know.
Wait, so
at least for me.
That's Preston?
Yes.
Damn the man, save the empire. Not on Rex Manning Day. I know we didn't watch this movie, but when I think of Ethan Embry, I will always think of Empire Records.
Jay wants us to watch that, actually.
I want us to watch that.
I would love to watch that. But my first note in Can't Hardly Wait is that, and I quote, Preston is a, all caps, sad sack.
Yeah.
Probably, but he was just like so
character.
90s adorable. He was like the
Zoe.
He was like the Zoe Deschanel of like male actors.
Speaking of Zoe Deschanel, I rewatched Almost Famous on the plane ride.
Is she in that? I don't even remember that.
She's in that. She's the sister.
Yep.
Oh. Huh.
I was like, my mind was blown. Yeah. Another movie that I loved so much in high school and just really is pretty problematic.
Yeah. I know. Which makes me sad.
But it has great music.
Because I also very much love that movie. And it is very sad how much issue and
Oh, yeah.
I will say, Can't Hardly Wait. One of my other notes is that this movie is very #universe. So as I was, because this is the one that I have seen the least. I had definitely watched it before, but the other two I had seen multiple times.
Yeah.
This one maybe once or twice, and so I had sort of forgotten like a lot of the details. And when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, I get why Colleen likes this movie so much. It is very #universe."
The letter just shows up there.
Yeah.
Also,
which I enjoyed.
I do. Honestly, the main love story is like the most problematic part of the movie because, you know, it's so unlikely that she would read this letter and then suddenly like fall in love with him and like chase him down to a train station. Like, that's so unlikely. However, then I was thinking, maybe this was like a precursor to like online dating and people that like meet through, you know, through that way.
I was just I was rooting for her to be single for a while, but like discover herself on her own. But
yes, and Jennifer Love Hewitt plays like the quintessential Jennifer Love Hewitt part.
Oh, she's like if this role was not like written for her of that specific point in her career, like I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way it wasn't.
I honestly think I really enjoyed this movie at the time, but it's like of the three, this one in the rewatch I think was the most disappointing for me.
Really?
I think it's the one I felt like in like current culture it like held up the least well.
Quite
that there were the most cringeworthy, just like general overarching cringe than the other two. The other two had like sort of pinpricks of cringe along the way. That there were like a joke, a line. Yeah. But like these like entire story arcs were like, oh yeah, this is
like the whole nerd revenge plot is like very, just like very homophobic and assaulty.
Yes.
And we're just like
super
supposed to go with this and root for them because they were the nerds.
Yep. And like the main, the Jennifer Love Hewitt character is just essentially like a pawn that like all these male characters just kind of hang whatever they want on.
But I think that's also the social commentary of the tropes, because as I think we Googled last night, maybe, that we talked about, this isn't based on anything. It's an original screenplay that's just supposed to take place at a party and show what happens. Yes. But even so, I mean, the nerd thing, that's not great. Although I do kind of like that William ends up being the most successful out of all of them in the end.
Yeah. But I feel like that's also a trope.
Oh, sure. Like, but I was rooting for
like
him.
80s nerd movies, 90s nerd movies, like the nerd always like gets their comeuppance because they become very successful and they date a supermodel.
Right.
And like that's always like an additional quantifier. It's always like
totes fine with that
because they're smart and they make a lot of money and they date a supermodel. Yep. Like that's always included
because they've made a lot of money.
Because they've made a lot of money.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, totally. I will also. I have to ask, like, was UCLA very different in the 90s? Because when they're talking about who goes to what universities, like Kenny gets into UCLA, like it's incredibly hard to get into UCLA. Like that's.
Well, and also, like, where is this movie supposed to take place? Is it supposed to be in LA area, or is it just like general anywhere USA?
I don't know where it's supposed to take place, but I know it takes place on Wednesday, June 17th, 1998, because that's Barry Manilow's 55th birthday, and they talk about that in the show.
Oh, crazy.
Wow, that's very specific.
Yeah. It is. You're welcome. Also, Melissa Joan Hart, to stay energized for the shoots because they were at night, she took B12 vitamins, and Jennifer Love Hewitt kept thinking that she kept taking drugs. Which I feel like that checks out. Not that I know either of them, but that totally feels like a thing based on their personas. Where does it take place? It's got to be out there somewhere where it takes place. But I understand. I think that out of all of the three, I outgrew the humor in this the most, which did kind of bum me out, but also, like, it wasn't torture rewatching it. I enjoyed rewatching it.
No. Yeah.
It was still fun. Yeah, and I will say, some of the, like, stereotypes that, might be, like, cringeworthy, but I will say the fact that the nerd guy is in German club, it's like, that very much holds up. I don't know about you guys. The people who take German are always weird, and I don't mean that as an insult, and I took German in high school, so I can fully co-sign on that. But it is true. Like, there is a marked difference. There's, like, the people who choose to take German. I don't know what it is.
He was also in the Dead Romantic Languages Club.
Yeah. And a million
like
others.
all the like the clubs that sort of cycle through, and like the last one is like Dead Romantic Language Club. Like, oh, that's a funny joke that I probably didn't pick up on.
Yeah.
Watching it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through the Wikipedia page, and it just says it's just a generic suburban high school. So it doesn't say where, just Huntington Hills High School, generic suburban high school graduation party.
So they just picked colleges. They're like, oh, people will have heard of these.
Yes, basically.
But again, I don't know what was going on in 1998, but at least today, UCLA is like...
Yes. And Amanda, as
well, how's their football team? Because it's like they do allude that he goes on a football scholarship because he his end blurb is that he lost his football scholarship. Yeah. So you don't have to be smart if you're good at the sports.
Right. Okay. All right.
Particularly in the 90s, I feel like they didn't care about that. They just would like come to our school if you can throw a football very far.
And Amanda, this was released June 12th of 1998, which we did look up yesterday. So you were right. Early summer, graduation time.
Yeah.
My only other comment about this movie, personally, was that they all looked like they were in their 40s. Like, the trio of girls. Jamie Kennedy had to have been, like, not, like, 20-something while filming that. And she even looked like she was in her 40s. Like, they just all look so old.
Granted, like, I haven't seen her in anything in a while, but she's another one. I feel like she has just always looked the same. Neither older nor younger. She just, like, that's her face.
Yeah, agreed. I think you are correct. And even Seth Green kind of looks the same.
Yeah. Definitely. Speaking of Seth Green, the thing about them being stuck in that bathroom is that they could simply take the door off the hinges. Like, it's very easy to do.
I wouldn't think of that
in high school because I didn't.
I don't even know how to do that now.
How to take a door off the hinges.
I mean, the like little part, like.
How many bathrooms have you been locked in?
I feel like you gotta use a special tool to get the thingy off the.
No, not really.
I mean, I'm looking at mine. I don't think I could push that with my fingers.
I mean, I'm sure they could have found something in the bathroom that they could have used to just like,
or in his like sex machine backpack.
Right. Yeah. But hey, they got to bone. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So many people in this movie though. Sean Patrick Thomas is in this movie.
Sean Patrick Thomas, Freddie Rodriguez. There's actually like 3 6 Feet Under actors. So it's like Freddie Rodriguez, it's Lauren Ambrose, and then whatever her boyfriend was in like season whatever. He makes a cameo in there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He was like one of the like stoner guys that had like the pop brownies and was like trying to get the exchange student
to... yes. Oh, would you like to touch my penis?
Which is also like, how are you an exchange student if you don't know any English at all?
Well, exactly. And how did you just spend the entire year there and learn nothing but can perfectly repeat things that people tell you? Like, that's like one of those things where it's just kind of annoying because it's just like, it's so not how it works.
Yes.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Eric Balfour?
Yeah, that's exactly who I'm talking about.
Because he had a cameo. Leslie Grossman had a cameo. She was the chick that wanted to have sex with Seth Green at first. She was gonna. Friend. That was her friend.
Yeah.
Jenna Elfman. I completely forgot about Jenna Elfman being the angel stripper.
She was like the one like random cameo that I like remembered. So it's like when that scene, I was like, oh right, Jenna Elfman's in this movie.
Yeah, there were so many people. Like I just totally forgotten. I enjoyed it, but I agree that out of the 3 of them, it was the one that to me, I don't think it held up the least, but it just, I might have outgrown it more. Like it wasn't the warm hug that 10 Things was.
Yes, that is a really, yes. I think I feel a very similar way. That's a very good way to phrase it.
Thank you. And then moving, let's see. Let's see the feedback we have about this. We can start with Matt's. And Matt said, I'll always have a sweet spot for Can't Hardly Wait. My sister is obsessed with this movie and watched it all the time, and its charm won me over. This is a movie with its heart on its sleeve, and even with some of the supporting characters coming off as stereotypes, it never feels mean-spirited, and only a couple times winds up in possibly problematic territory. The ensemble is also pretty impressive, collecting a lot of actors early in their careers. It's a fun one to have IMDb open, which is exactly what I did. This movie has 3 people who once played a love interest to Allison Hannigan. There's also, which I didn't know that. I guess all from Buffy and Buffy to Can't Hardly Wait because we're talking about Can't Hardly Wait. Jason Segel, right? Allison Hannigan was in that show.
Yeah, Jason Segel, right from How I Met Your Mother.
Thank you. Then there's also the small roles. The guy that played Don Draper's brother, Paula's husband from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, one of the mobsters from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, etc. Ethan Embry is so aw shucks likable that you can kind of ignore it.
I want to punch him in the face, but that's just me.
No, aw shucks, adorkable.
He is adorkable.
Before it was a thing.
Adorkable. Yes.
Not on Rex Manning Day.
You can kind of ignore that his plan with his crush should not be attempted in real life ever. Seriously, dude, ask her out for coffee or something, or maybe start with a conversation. You're giving #Team Universe a bad name. I do agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe it was just the thing that set us up for in the era of online dating and all that. Like, maybe we're just desensitized to the fact that it was hella problematic.
Yeah.
And then he also says, I'd also give it the best soundtrack of the three. All of these feature the music of the time. Eve 6, Third Eye Blind, and Smash Mouth all have 2 songs in the film.
It felt like 80. It felt like every Smash Mouth song I could name was in this movie.
But whoever
Smash Mouth again?
I think they had more than 2, I think.
They definitely had more than 2.
It felt like
was
it
like
at
the
least.
beginning, the middle, and the end. It was like, it's been about 15 minutes. Time for another Smash Mouth song.
Yeah. They were like looking at music. Who do we already have the rights to? Smash Mouth.
They know their 15 minutes are almost up. They're going to cash in. They'll pay.
Which to Shandy means I want to smash Preston in the mouth. As if. Whoever DJ'd this party made sure to include some stuff that was recorded before 1997. This was my introduction to Yazoo, played during the train scene station at the end, and The Replacements, the band whose song the film gets its name from, which I believe played in the closing credits. Whenever we get to eventually the topic of each picking a movie that has an awesome soundtrack, I would like to throw Garden State into consideration, because
yes,
it's
a great soundtrack.
It's a spectacular, just like City of Angels, spectacular soundtrack. Pretty sure it doesn't hold up. Both of them.
I'm glad you beat me to the joke. I was literally gonna say something very similar.
Make your joke. I froze.
It was like an unformed joke. I was like working on it. I was workshopping it in my mind. And then you got to it, so I was like, all right.
Well,
I just crumpled up the paper in my brain and threw it away.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet none of those movies hold up, but it might be a fun thing to explore one day when we're real bored. I really don't know.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I
feel like that would be a good one for like listener feedback too. I feel like we could all get behind this concept.
Like movies with great soundtracks that probably suck upon rewatching in 2022.
Well, sure, if you want to get that specific with it. I was going to just stick with the like cool soundtracks, but yeah.
Cool soundtracks, bad movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being harsh. Is that Seagulls? Everybody listen to the Seagulls for the last time.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty soon. It's the season of Seagull Chicks.
Seagull Chicks.
Seagull Chicks.
They're making their nests.
And then Jessica says, as far as Can't Hardly Wait goes, as someone that had a crush on someone for a long time in high school, I get it. First movie where I fell in love with Ethan Embry, Charlie Corsmo's last movie. He also played the kid in Hook, then retired from acting to be a lawyer. I just love this movie. It's so much fun. Plus, it has a lot of actors that went on to bigger careers. I love. Everybody noticed all the cameos, and I totally forgot. That's what that dude is from.
Yeah. I literally same thought. I was like, God, what else was he earn?
Yeah,
Hook.
Another great movie.
Yeah, just
I would just talk about Hook, like just in general. Like it's so good.
It's so
man
good.
The man.
Yeah. Rufy. Oh,
Rufio.
Or the Pam.
Yes.
I really hope that movie holds up. That's one I haven't watched as an adult.
It holds up.
I feel like I'm almost a little... Okay, I was going to say, I'm a little scared too.
We've rewatched it several times with the kids, and it's... I mean, you know, it kind of holds up in like a Clueless way. Like, there's certain things where you're like, eek! But there's other things where you're like, oh, this really does, like, still get to, like, the emotional, like, center that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And I do think Julia Roberts is also ageless. I'm just saying. That woman had like 3 kids and looks the exact same. God bless the rich people.
Well, right. She's probably had a little assistance.
Yes.
A lot of
not shaming. You know, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I would 100% do the same thing. She probably had a facial like in the recovery room after giving birth. She was like, give me my C-section and give me my facial. Maybe at the same time.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Very tasteful.
Sorry.
Very tasteful.
I'm sorry. I can't believe I just realized that was the kid from Damn. And he is 43 years old now.
Wow.
Also a Republican. Cool.
Oh, fuck.
Don't meet your heroes.
But he did serve for the Obama administration, so maybe he's...
That's a real role reversal, huh?
Yeah, maybe he's a never-Trumper. Let's just pretend he's a never-Trumper and go with that. Okay.
Oh my God, speaking of the Obamas, side thing.
Yeah.
The First Ladies, Showtime. I kept Showtime for a month so that I could finish the show. It is so good.
Is it? Okay.
I am really, really enjoying it.
Okay. Because I didn't realize I had this promotion where it was only $4 for this second month, so I just kept it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
same. Like they charged me like $4.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll keep this for the affair, which I have no interest in watching, so I'm gonna have to find something else. So I will just watch that instead. Then I also
so wait, that's not just what it costs. I was just like,
maybe that's what it costs.
Maybe I'll keep Showtime.
Maybe that's what it costs. I don't know, but I was very surprised when it was like it was for something, and I was like, oh wow, okay.
But anyways, yes,
Side note, I also did the 7 days free streaming thing for Stars to watch Can't Hardly Wait. So I need to take advantage of that. Like, when one is home with COVID and there's not a lot to do, I literally was bugging my coworkers on Teams today so much that they were like, hey, aren't you sick? Why don't you go take a nap? And I was like, no, I'm good. I guess I'm going to watch Stars tomorrow. There we go.
There you go.
I'm telling you. First Ladies, do it.
And First Ladies.
The first episode takes a little,
getting
entry point. It's like the first episode feels a little caricature-y.
Okay.
Two of the three actresses, I will not name names. You can figure it out for yourself. Stick with it. It gets real good.
Okay.
Okay, should we get back on topic?
Yes, back on topic. Last movie to talk about. 10 Things I Hate About You, which I have said, and I stand by this, is my favorite out of the three upon rewatching it. It just felt like a warm hug. Like, I don't know.
Same.
I loved it. Like, I don't know. I loved remembering the quotes that how I used to quote 10 things, but, like, just everything about, not 10 Things, Can't Hardly Wait, but, like, I don't know. Also, totally forgot Allison Janney was in this movie, and I think it's my first experience to her. Like, exposure to her.
I, looked it up. This would have been, she would have done this, probably during the hiatus for The West Wing. Because The West Wing would have been a season or two in.
Yeah.
So I feel like it might have been something where it's she was friends with someone, and they were just like, oh, let's call up Allison. She might, be free to, come in for a week and do this part.
His quivering membrane.
His quivering member.
Remember,
she's great, and I love how that goes all throughout.
I love that too.
I also just love that this takes place in Seattle. I just feel like it doesn't always, things are usually in New York or LA, and it's in Seattle. That's great.
I'd kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah,
same. I liked that the characters' names actually paid homage to the characters in Shakespeare. Like Patrick Verona, because isn't Verona Romeo and Juliet, right?
Yeah.
And there's another. Did I write it down? Somebody else's character.
The Padua thing, right?
The Padua thing. But there's a character's name also that pays tribute. And now I did not write it down. Well, Katerina, obviously, because
right. I just assumed that the two Katerina and Bianca. Again, I've never read The Taming of the Shrew, but
I've seen Kiss Me Kate.
I can't remember if I've read The Taming of the Shrew or not. It's the same thing. You read it in high school, you don't remember. I will say the one name that I thought was hilarious that I did not get when I watched this back in the day was Joey Eat Me Donner.
Yeah. I got that this time too. Oh my God.
Man, it took me 20 years, but
Andrew Keegan.
That's funny.
Andrew Keegan. What is he doing?
Yes. What is he doing? Let's check this out. Andrew Keegan.
Yeah. While you look that up, I will say, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, same camp as Ethan Embry. Same adorkable, love him vibe for me.
Yeah.
Very adorkable, and I do not want to punch him in the face.
Well, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt has...
The elevated,
Yeah.
We stand on the shoulders of our forefathers.
He has a wonderful Twitter account, too, I believe.
Good.
Fairly
He does just seem like an all-around nice guy.
Yes. Yeah. Andrew Keegan really hasn't done a whole lot lately that is, like, mainstream. Like, it looks like he's worked fairly steadily, but just hasn't really done much, which is a bummer.
It is a bummer, but I'm glad he's working.
But, oh, man, he plays such a great dick. I'm just saying. Like,
I feel like you can't be that handsome and play, like, the good guy.
Unless if you're Heath Ledger, who is incredibly attractive and...
Yeah.
Yes.
And the things that could have been, that really, man.
Well, and it's like in the rewatching to get to the Heath Ledger of it all. It's like watching the movie at the time it came out, like being younger than all these characters. He just always looked so much older, and it was like, there's no way that guy's a teenager. And then to go back as an adult and watch, you're like, oh no,
he's such a
he
baby
really was an
face.
He really was an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's just like how.
Right. Well,
just your.
And that was
going with that, but yeah.
How much of that though is Can't Hardly Wait bias? Where like compared to all the actors there that looked 40, this guy looks like he's 12.
maybe, but I think it's just also like how your memory sort of skews things.
Yes. No, I love this movie so much, and Jay joins me upon rewatching. I had started without him, and he was like, "Oh man, Can't Hardly Wait! You should have told me. I love this movie." So it was really fun to just, get to rewatch it and like riff on it, like with Jay, and I don't know. I know it has its problems. They drop an R word twice, I believe, and it's cringe every time. But like, and the dad, I know that we talk about like the dad is, like it represents something or whatever, but like, it also reminded me like how these films, because this was released in, what year was this released? March 31st, 1999. How do I put this? I appreciate how much it makes fun of dads like her dad. Does that make sense? Because like, it's clearly like, he's not to be taken seriously, and as a daughter of a father with two sisters, who I was not allowed. I've talked about this. I've never seen Dawson's Creek still because I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up, and I was not allowed to watch Dawson's Creek growing up, and I still have never seen
River
it.
Kids.
Those Dawson River Kids. Seriously, that line made my entire life. I felt represented. I felt seen. I felt related to. I was like, oh my God, another dad out there is using Dawson's Creek against his kids to not be allowed to do things. And I was seen. So representation matters.
It did also sort of feel like, so he's also kind of like a representation of the whole like abstinence only sex education of the time.
Yeah.
Which, sadly, all these years later is still the case in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that Gabrielle Union was in this movie. I love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is so freaking great.
Yeah.
Which we need to talk about before I forget. So after we watched this, Jay yesterday was looking up Letters to Cleo, which is the band that, is like the Gwen Stefani, I'm sorry, the No Doubt / Cardigans kind of like rip-off band.
Yeah, it's Kat's favorite band.
Yes, Kat's favorite band. And Jay was reading about them, and it turns out the lead singer of that band went on to write other music, including all of the songs on the Doc McStuffins soundtrack. So my household has been singing and greatly influenced about thanks to the chick from Letters from Cleo for the last like 2 years. So I thought that was awesome. Like in my personal life, I was like, oh my God, she wrote all those songs. Anyway. I'm glad that they survived playing on the fucking rooftop of that insane school in that last
worth it
scene.
Worth it. That's such a cool shot.
It's a very cool shot, but it's also kind of terrifying.
Was it
very dangerous?
But going back to the dad, I thought that it was kind of funny that he also just, not even funny, I just thought it was so interesting that he talks about, like, it was that trope in the 90s and 2000s of dads worried about their daughters getting knocked up but actually didn't talk to them about, like, learning how to prevent pregnancy. It was just that abstinence movement like Shandy talked about.
Yep. Yeah. You're going to have to wear the belly.
You have to wear the belly. And when she's standing there.
Who knocked up your sister?
Our school had one of those.
I think ours did, too.
I've actually worn one of those bellies.
Yeah, I think ours did, too.
Yeah. Yeah, in health class. We actually had one.
That's so fucked up.
And then after...
They're pretty heavy.
Yeah, but after being pregnant,
accurate.
you're like, still not the same.
Wow. Because it's just like sand.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Did anybody notice that Andrew Keegan in that movie was wearing the same black eyeliner that Paul Rudd was wearing in Clueless? Because
That's what cute boys in the 90s wore?
Yeah, I definitely did. Also, knowing that all these movies came out in the 90s makes me feel a lot better that we, like, stuck to the same genre.
Yeah.
Because I thought that we had, like,
Did you know that there were bloopers at the end of 10 Things I Hate About You?
They're so fun.
Didn't. I don't think I'd ever watched it to the end. I literally, my note was, bloopers at the end of the credits, question mark?
They're so amazing. I did remember those being there.
I super didn't.
And
it was a delight. It was such a treat.
It's such a treat. And I do have to say, I really enjoyed Julia Stiles' commitment to not wearing a bra the entire movie. Like, I also felt seen and represented.
Oh, and hair goals. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Hair goals.
Yeah, I know. Oh, God, beautiful.
I wanted that hair all 90s.
I think...
I still want that hair. As she says with her frizzy baby hairs.
I think other than the quivering member line, the other, like, and the, I've got the 411 and you're not getting jiggy with some dude, like the Dawson's River Kids, blah, blah, blah. That, I think the other, like, famous line that came out of that, which I think actually did probably permeate Barstool sports culture for a long time, was, what is it with this chick? She had beer-flavored nipples?
Yeah.
And I was like, you are, like, 18, 17, 16.
Yeah.
And you are really letting the beer references flow. That might be problematic.
Yes. Speaking of beer and drinking and movies, I also just want to say that, like, so many times, and you see it in this movie, people are like fall down drunk.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later,
they sober up real quick.
Yeah, they're just like perfectly sober, and that is not how it works.
For the sake of the story,
right? But 1 hour per drink from the time you stop drinking. That you can't do like a shit ton of shots and be sober an hour later.
But to be fair, he actually talks about how she won't remember it later, even though she's sitting up acting sober, and she's still kind of swaying. And he talks about how she won't remember it later. Yes. So, which was very respectable in anti-90s movies of him.
Yeah, but then she got so mad about it. So it's like, what is the message here? Yeah. She was feeling rejected, but like he was just not assaulting her. So that's good.
Oh, Patrick Verona.
Gone too soon.
Gone too soon, man. Ooh, fun fact. David Krumholtz, who plays the best friend, the nerdy friend that's in the...
He's so unintentionally funny.
He's so great.
Yes.
And he has
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go first.
No, I was just going to say he was the elf in the Santa Claus.
Yes. Yes, but
it was on like a CBS drama too.
Yes, but he hasn't done a whole lot lately. However, in 2020, he began releasing rap music with a group called Hemoglobin under the moniker Ben Good Still God. Ben God Still God. There we go.
Hemoglobin's kind of a fun name. If they were like, like doctors that like had a rap group on the side.
Dude. Genius.
Wow. I was not expecting that.
Oh, one more thing before we move on to the emails. I totally forgot Gabrielle Union was in this movie. which made me then want to watch Bring It On, because I perpetually want to watch Bring It On. I wonder how that holds up. That was one of my favorite movies back then, so I am curious. And then second, I loved the English teacher calling out her white feminism, which I'm guessing was not something that got called out as much back then, but definitely deserves to be called out. And I loved that.
No. The English teacher was pretty amazing.
He was awesome.
Agreed. It's like there was like a lack of diversity in that movie, but like it was sort of well placed where it was. And
yeah.
If you really think about it, it's like, well, a wealthy suburb of Seattle, that probably was a pretty accurate representation of the demographics.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times. I love this movie. I'm so happy we rewatched it. Like, I'm so happy. As far as feedback goes, starting with Matt says, I guess actually he starts the email, "This month's assignment certainly hit a nostalgic sweet spot when I definitely needed it, a little escapism to the carefree days of the pre-9/11 teen movie boom."
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I've stopped thinking of things in terms of pre and post 9/11, but it's totally true. He said, 10 Things I Can About You. I can't remember if I had seen it beginning to end before this past month. I certainly remembered certain things like Can't Take My Eyes Off of You sequence. Oh, I love that so much.
Iconic.
So good. So this was my least familiar of the three. Overall, it's the one I liked the least, sad to say.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Again, just stick the knife in.
It wasn't a bad film, but being a loose Shakespeare adaptation certainly can lead to feeling a little unfocused. Maybe the filmmakers, upon realizing they had a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt on board, decided to beef up his role, but not quite make him a second lead. Certainly it feels like it can't quite balance his stuff with Julia Stiles' stuff. Stiles and Ledger have good chemistry, and it just reminds me of what a loss Ledger's passing truly was. Trivia: the director attempted to follow up a follow-up of sorts called 10 Things I Hate About Life, where two suicidal teens fall in love, although it never finished, allegedly in part to them not paying the lead, Evan Rachel Wood. Poor Evan Rachel Wood. That chick has been through some shit in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, you name it, she's been through it, and fucking power to her that she speaks up every time. And then to finish his email, he said, "This was a fun revisit. It's been a tough month in recent news, so it was nice to go back and watch films from when I was growing up. That is the appeal of nostalgia after all. While I can't say they're as good as ever, I'm glad I took the trip. I did make a list of some of my favorite coming-of-age films, but I'll save that for the next episode since this feedback is super last minute and already running long." Matt.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to that list.
I am too.
Me too.
But I mean, I disagree. This was my favorite out of all of them.
Me too.
And they have great chemistry. The only reason it's believable that they would fall in love so quickly is because of their chemistry. And yeah, what a loss. Just truly a loss. We got feedback for this movie from Elena as well. She said, 3 fantastic movies I've seen too many times to count. Fun fact, despite watching 10 Things I Hate About You 100 times in the early 2000s, we unknowingly named our only child, Katerina, and cat, Bianca, after the two main female characters. Didn't even realize it until we watched it again with Katie a couple weeks ago. The names must have been burned in our brains. My question for you, which character in the 3 movies do you identify the most with and why? Can't wait to hear the show. Elena. Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
Definitely Julia Stiles for me. Angry feminist.
Of course.
Totally.
I don't think any of them really are me.
I am trying to think. Maybe Lauren Ambrose's character from... No, because I'm so into going to parties, so... I don't know. It's so hard. Right? It's so difficult.
Yeah, like that. There isn't one that immediately jumps out, but it's like, I don't need to relate to one of the characters to enjoy the movies.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. Maybe the nerdy friend from 10 Things I Hate About You, the Shakespeare lover that gets with the nerdy dude. I think I relate to her the most.
William.
Yeah.
We're involved.
We're involved.
She was also in Center Stage.
Oh, okay.
She was the like the sort of snotty ballerina.
Okay.
It was like her, Zooey Deschanel, and the blonde girl that was the main character.
Gotcha.
That's also a movie I would love to rewatch to see how that holds up.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so good. Well, in my memory of it. Anyway, again, have not seen it as an adult. Might not hold up. But in the day, it was a great dance movie.
Yeah, that's my answer. The nerdy friend that was into Shakespeare, but just replace Shakespeare with X-Files or Lost, and then replace David Krumholtz's character who randomly raps with Jay. And that's who I relate to. That's my answer. Done. Nailed it. Nailed it, guys.
She had a great prom dress.
Great prom dress. And then...
Which was like picked out for her, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? Because he got her. He got her. She had to pay for it. There you go. And then Jessica says, as far as 10 Things goes, Heath, what can I say? The rest of the cast was great. And I wanted my hair to be like Julia Stiles. We just talked about that.
Hair goals.
Oh, God, it's so good. It's perfect. But Heath, who didn't fall in love when he put the toothpick in his mouth and smiled?
Yeah.
True. I think I fell in love all over again, actually. And then sang as he ran around the bleachers. He became a favorite actor after that, and I saw most of his movies. I admit I bawled when he died. He was gone way too soon. I look at other roles and think he would have been perfect for them. Like, he'd definitely be a part of the Marvel Universe. He would have made a perfect Star-Lord or Ant-Man. And I'd say this was my favorite of the three. He would have been a great Star-Lord because then we wouldn't have had Chris Pratt as Star-Lord.
Valid.
Super valid. Not that Chris Pratt is a bad Star-Lord. He's just problematic in general.
Yeah, he just proved to be a real issue.
The other thing I appreciated, though, about all three movies is that they were all, like, less than 100 minutes. And I really appreciated that. More movies need to be...
It's good length,
Yeah, they need to be, way less than 2 hours. Like,
That
like
is a
90
trend that I do miss. That I feel like in the years since, movies just get longer and longer.
Oh, I know. And I get it. It's Marvel's fault.
I don't have the kind of time to sit down and watch a movie.
Yeah. Like, maybe I can set that time aside to see it in theaters because it's, like, my experience. But, like, when I go home, it's just tough to be like, oh, let me find 4 hours to rewatch one Avengers movie, although I love it and I will do it. It's still a lot. It's going to be 4 sittings, but, that's how it goes. But, yeah, the Heath Ledger of it all. What a shame. Does anybody have any last words about 10 Things and the beer-flavored nipples?
Can't say that I do.
Do we want to real quick talk about what held up and what didn't? I feel like we've already kind of touched upon this. The amount, every single movie referenced LGBTQ couples as same-sex couples. Every single movie had a line about that. So while I appreciated where they were going with, happy Pride Month, by the way. Did not mention that last night.
Pride.
Sorry, the episode that comes out in time for Pride Month. I apologize. I did not recognize that, but cheers. And I recognize that they were trying to normalize, that back then, and using the language and like referring to it as that's just how it was referred to back then. But it is worth noting how far we've come, where now we don't even have to, label anything. Just things generally tend to be, they are what they are, and that's good, right?
Yeah, but I guess my takeaway from a lot of these movies is just like how much inherent homophobia still existed in the 90s. Like, I more walked away with like how often like the joke, they were the, like a gay person was the butt of the joke, or like not look gay, particularly amongst the male characters.
100%.
Like, that was still
can't hardly
such
wait.
a stigma, and it was still, so I think I latched on more to that than like what they were, what the films maybe were trying to do.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I 100% latched on to that, the homophobia of it. But it was still, I think, significant that they went out of their way to include characters that, or include references to like kind of, not normalize it, but like, I don't think it was ever mentioned. There was never like, it Can't Hardly Wait for sure. It was definitely derogatory with that scene with Mike after Amanda like redumps him. But like, I don't know. I feel like bringing it up in general and the like just of the same sex persuasion, which was mentioned in all three movies. Like, I feel like at least acknowledging it was more of like a gateway than just making just the jokes at its expense. Does that make sense?
I do think in Clueless it was a little more like just, I don't know, respectful. Like this,
right? Like he's a cake boy, but like Christian then becomes
right.
Yeah,
but like he's her friend, and that's that. Like once it's sort of like, I mean, it's there to kind of like throw a wrench in like her whole plan of, like wanting to have sex with him. But then it's fine. Like he's a person, he's their friend. It's fine. But I was more struck in like, Can't Hardly Wait with just the like super assaulty homophobia of the Nerd's Revenge and,
and Mike being called the F word, right? Wasn't he called?
Yeah. Which is something I very distinctly remember from specifically from middle school and high school. And I remember getting in so many like discussions and arguments with people about how they shouldn't use like gay as an insult and why that was so like not okay. And people just like not accepting that. And I feel so fucking vindicated.
It is kind of crazy. Like, it is kind of crazy when you think about just the difference in eras.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like these films were, I don't know, I just explained. I'm not going to re-explain it, but like, yeah, like they're definitely problematic in that aspect, which is also an interesting critique of the times. And it's also nice to see how far we've come. Florida excluded, but like, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, even the diversity of it, like all three of these movies, like any person of color is a secondary character at best.
Yeah. Yes.
Like the sort of inherent tokenism across these movies, it's there, and we would be amiss to not say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is getting better, but also still like a lot of times the case.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall though, I don't know. I'm glad we rewatched these three movies. I really enjoyed it.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
Yes. It was a lovely trip down memory lane, and
yeah.
You can go home sometimes.
Sometimes you can.
Yeah.
All right. We have covered all the feedback. Let me see if there's anything from the Facey back. Matt also said in the Facebook feedback, I've got a light question with the trend of legacy quells, aka sequels released long after the original film, often dealing with the original film's legacy, so Top Gun. Which of the three films would you like to greenlight a follow-up to? Do we want to see Cher raising a daughter, diametrically opposed to herself? Do we want to see a Huntington Hills class of 98 reunion? Albeit with the house party that ends at 10 a.m., etc., etc. I don't know. I feel like I would kind of be down for the reunion, but it would feel very, what's the fucking... The camp series that I loved, the movie that with Amy Poehler.
Wet Hot American Summer.
Thank you. It would feel very Wet Hot American Summer to me, and I probably would also be problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to leave 10 Things as it is in my heart of hearts.
Yeah.
With no Heath Ledger. If we can't get those curls back, just let it stand.
I'm like that. Yeah. I'm tired of this whole like reunion nonsense. Yeah. Like, let's just like, sometimes things don't need a sequel. They don't need a prequel. They don't need to be revisited. Like, they are just a standalone piece of art, and we should just like, be okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, has this always been a thing and I just didn't notice it before? Or is it because we are now like in our late 30s and like have income, so people are aiming things at us now, that like it really does feel like we cannot have anything new. It has to always be some sort of throwback to something we grew up with.
I think it's just lazy.
With a remake, with a like.
I think it is new.
Fuck, dude?
I think it is new, but I think it is also because things are inherently more expensive to produce and create. So the establishment of, the gatekeepers of art creation, like mainstream media, don't, they want to bet on the sure thing. They don't want to sink money into something new where they know there's a built-in audience for a sequel of something, or adapting.
It feels like a little much. And because you mentioned Top Gun, I will just say Top Gun is a fucking terrible story. Tom Cruise sucks. Why are we redoing it?
I was going to propose.
Many years later, we didn't need to. The story was over. The story ended. There was no cliffhanger. I didn't need to know what happened.
Okay, I was going to propose.
Died in training.
I was going to propose that we rewatch the first and the second one for July.
All right.
I just don't even want to give any money into that.
I've heard wonderful things about the follow-up, the second one. I've heard every single person I know that has seen it has come out and been like, that was fucking incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the first one, everyone has jizzed their pants about for decades, and I rewatched it a while ago and was just like, this story is fucking dumb.
Amanda.
Also, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist.
Yeah, do we really need to be giving him more for our money?
All right, so what do we want to do next month as we wrap this up?
I feel like that is a tall order to ask while we're still recording.
I know books are out of the question because on August, we're going to read the book for August and watch the movie of Where the Crawdad Sings.
Yes.
So
I should probably get started on that.
I know.
I better finish the book I'm currently working on.
Exactly. Yeah.
When I go to Marco Island in 2 weeks, I am 100%, 3 weeks. I'm bringing that, and that's my goal, to read that book when I'm in Marco. But for July, we do need to figure out what we're going to watch. I guess we have a little bit of time.
I thought we had decided.
Did we?
We had picked something. Did none of us write it down? Because I sure didn't. So we had specifically picked something for July. We have had this conversation, and I can't remember what we decided on, and I didn't write it down because I am a slacker.
All right, so thank you all for listening. We will be back for our birthday show on Tuesday, June 21st. I'm so excited. Put your broadcast thinking cap on. As we said, in August, we're going to do Where the Crawdad Sings. If you remember what we were going to do for July, but we'll be back then, and then we'll start our 7th season, which we also need to figure out what our new artwork is going to be. We got to get on that, Amanda and Shandy. That's the thing that's got to happen, now. Jacob is very busy. He keeps winning awards. I keep seeing it on Facebook, and I'm like, you go, Jacob.
I know, I've had it in the back of my head, just cooking back there, and I just can't, just nothing obvious is coming to me, and that's always the best creative inspiration is the obvious one, and there's just nothing obvious.
We'll figure it out. All right, So we'll be back in 2 weeks on the 21st, and then we will on Tuesday, July 5th, we'll do blah blah blah. So join us then. Thank you guys, though. We hope we will see you at the birthday party. I am preparing a quiz for you all, and I hope you're there over Zoom. Same link as always. If you have any feedback, you can email us, thebroadcasters3@gmail.com, or give us a call, 331-276-2373. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Next time we hear from you, hopefully I won't sound like this and have to mute myself coughing every 20 seconds. Shandy, have a wonderful move. Last show in California.
Thank you.
Last show in different time zones. Next time you hear from all of us, we will be in the same time zone. Dear. Oh, it's going to be worse for Shandy than Amanda and I. We're used to it.
I know. I'm so sorry. Figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It's going to be great. It's going to be all the great things. Don't worry about it. All right. On that note, ladies, thanks so much for joining me. I want you all to want me. I want you to blah, blah, blah. I need you to need me. I'm begging you to beg me to get the hell out of here. All right. On that note, my name is Colleen. Oh, thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the patrons, especially the ones that contribute a certain level, and that would be Eckhart Rigner, Tack from Tokyo, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, and the creepy poopy head mailman. Thank you so much. Okay, for real though, on that note, my name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.